Hello, everybody. This is Bondalyn Jolly, and you are dialing into our final recruitment webinar of the year. Welcome. I can't believe it is almost December and that it's almost the end of the year, but here we are. I know a lot of people are popping in right at the moment. Let me see. But I do want to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get started because we've got a lot of ground to cover today. This is a very tactical webinar today. And so let me start with just a couple of housekeeping notes while people are popping in. We are recording today's webinar, and you will receive an email probably tomorrow morning that will have a recap of all of our talking points. It will have links to all of our resources, and there'll also be a link to an on-demand version of this. So for any reason you're missing something, you want to revisit it, you have to drop off for any reason, do not worry. You will receive the full recording tomorrow and you can work through everything at your leisure. These webinars really are for you guys. So if you have questions, comments, please interact with me. Today, I'm a one-man show. If you've been on my other webinars, you know, I've had special guests and things, but today you just get me. But I do have the chat pulled up, and I do have the Q&A pulled up. So, you know, feel free to ask me questions. I might ask you some questions and ask for feedback throughout the webinar. So, you know, don't hesitate to engage with me because I really encourage that engagement. For those of you that have not attended my webinars in the past or don't know me, as I said, my name is Bondalyn Jolly, and I'm the marketing division leader here at Wave Group. And I have over 20 years experience in running marketing agencies. I was the creator and CEO behind Emerge, which was the leading marketing automation platform in the real estate space for many years. And I sold that software in 2018 and then spent 4 years serving as the chief marketing officer inside of the organization that acquired my product. And simultaneously during that time, I launched in a full-scale advertising agency under that corporate umbrella as well. And over my 20 plus years, I have worked with brokerages and tech companies across the US in developing, executing, and analyzing really intelligent and meaningful marketing campaigns that are really focused to drive sales growth, right? That's what marketing is all about, is driving interactivity with the brand and driving sales activity for your organization. And one of my specialties has always been around recruitment and retention. And so today you guys are in for a bit of a treat because I'm really going to dive into one of the most important end of the year exercises that I really believe that brokerages should be doing with not just their active agents, but also their prospective agents. And that is all around annual business planning. So like I said, in my past webinars, if you've attended those, I've had some really wonderful recruiting guests and things like that. But today it's very tactical and hands-on. So you guys just have to listen to me for the next hour. But it's all good. And I want to start with just a couple of quick poll questions. I see people popping in and saying, hello, hey, Dan, hello, welcome from Indiana. Yeah, everything that we are going to discuss today, all of the spreadsheets I'm going to show you, everything is going to be made available to you. I'm actually going to give you guys a link a little later in the webinar. So do not worry about that. Don't feel like you need to take screenshots or anything like that. Just pay attention, join in the discussion, and then I'll make everything available to you guys, okay? So we have Jason in the background. And Jason, if you could go ahead, I just got a couple of poll questions I want to start by asking everybody. And so do you currently conduct annual business planning workshops? These can be one-on-one, whatever the case is, with your active agents. Just let me know if it's something that you currently do, yes or no. And then if you do offer it, I'm just kind of curious, you know, in general, what percentage of your agents participate? So just take a few minutes and answer that question for me. And Jason, I can't see if people are doing it or not. I guess you closed it out. Okay, wonderful. So let's see. 77% of you are saying yes, but 50% say then less than 25% of your agents participate. So we're going to talk about some ways that maybe we can turn that around a little bit today. And then I think we had one other poll question, right? Jason, did we have one? How many offer business planning to prospective agents too? And if we don't have that poll question, that's okay. Just, oh, there we
I got it.
go.
I'm pulling it up.
Now, this is prospective agents. So like if you are actively recruiting, do you offer any kind of business planning workshop or opportunity to your prospective agents? So I'm just curious about that. So yes or no. And I'm so sorry, guys. I am just getting over having a really rotten cold. I don't know if you can tell I sound a little froggy, but I might take some sips of some hot tea here throughout our time together. And that's just to keep me from coughing or anything like that. So please bear with me a little bit today.
All right.
Okay.
Results.
Results. So yeah, so only 41% of you do this with perspective. Okay. That is awesome. Thanks for letting me know that information, guys. So, as I am sure that many of you know, our agents today are really struggling with what's happening in the market climate. I mean, we've got, this NAR antitrust lawsuit stuff going on. We have, just this, the mortgage rates fluctuating. We've got all kinds of different things that are happening. We continue to be in low inventory markets across the US. And, back in 2020 and 2021, we saw a huge influx of agents coming into the market. And I like to say, it was almost like they were order takers, right? They didn't need to be overly skilled. You didn't have to work very hard to really be able to drive, sales activity. And, I was actually, I don't know how many of you are members of some of like the online chat groups, like Lab Coat Agents, but I was in the Lab Coat chat yesterday, and I literally, saw two different agents go in and post about the fact that over the past few years before this year they were pulling down six figures, right, in GCI. And and now one of them said that they are barely going to cover 20K in GCI this year, and they're looking at like, what am I going to do? They're really scared and they're questioning the industry, and, they're talking about, do I need to go get a 9-to-5 job? Do I need to leave real estate? And this is really a big concern that is happening. And I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with the same kind of issue inside of your brokerages. And, and I think a lot of agents, they don't necessarily understand the basic fundamentals of what it's like to be a sole proprietor, to be the CEO of your own business. And when it comes to like creating and managing budgets that will support them throughout the year, and and help carry them through those times when they might not have commissionable income coming in on a month or maybe several months in a row. And I think as a broker or as a trainer or an owner of an organization, this is really an opportunity for you to step in and really demonstrate servant leadership, and offer, the guidance, mentorship, and training that these people need. And if you've been in my webinars in the past, I'm really, really big on servant leadership, right? That concept of how can I be of service to my agents? Because if I can help them create success, I'm going to receive success as a result, right? And so I really want to focus on these business planning exercises today. These are a wonderful way for you to actively engage both your active and your prospective agents. So for those of you that are recruiting, we're going to talk about how you can leverage some of this material I'm going to share with you today to your recruiting audience as well. And there's a lot of benefits from annual planning exercises. It gives you insight into, for one thing, the performance of your agents over the course of this year and the challenges and successes that they've recognized. It gives you insight, to the goals of where your agents want to go in the coming year, and helps you understand if those are realistic or unrealistic. And it also offers you an opportunity to evaluate what I call flight risk, right? Do you have agents that are questioning, whether they should stay in the industry, whether they should stay at your brokerage? What kinds of tools and resources do they need, to create success in the coming year? So it really gives you a lot of insight, and it helps reinforce from your perspective what you as a broker are offering, to your agents. And the other thing that I really love with annual business planning exercises is that it gives you an opportunity to run quarterly or mid-year check-ins with your agents. So it's really something that you can frame up over the course of the year and use it to really have meaningful, insightful touch points with all of your agents. And, you know, whether you do it quarterly, whether you do a mid-year check-in around June, you can really see where your agents stand in terms of what their annual goals look like. And so it's a really, really valuable way to, you know, to have meaningful conversations with your agents. And so one of the checkpoints that I said that we were going to discuss in today's webinar are the different types of approaches or formats that you can use for your annual planning sessions. And I have 3 that I'm going to talk to you about today. I work with a lot of brokerages across the United States. And there's 3, you know, different formats that we can take, and I've seen every single one of them be successful. The first and the most time efficient, especially if you have a large agent count or you're running a large brokerage, is group planning sessions. Now, this can either be run by you or a member of your administrative team. But you basically, what you do is you schedule a handful of group sessions, and those can be between now and the end of the year. And don't worry, they can also easily roll into January. I have a lot of brokerages. What we'll do is we'll start with annual business planning exercises. You know, we kind of launch them early in Q4, October, November time period. There's some self-exploratory stuff that we're going to talk about. Then they schedule group planning sessions. They do a couple in December. They roll a couple over into January. And then usually by the time that you're coming, you know, January, the end of January, you have your agents pretty much teed up and ready to roll and have a really strong vision for the year. So group planning sessions are wonderful for large brokerages. If you have a smaller brokerage, you know, you're smaller, more hands-on leader, some of my brokerages will do one-on-one sessions. So, you know, if you've got 20, 25 agents, you can go ahead and schedule, you know, 30 minutes to an hour one-on-one planning session with them. Once again, I'm going to share some self-exploratory exercises that your agents can do ahead of time so that they're coming in prepared. And so we're going to take a look at that, because you really want to use that time really efficiently with them and not be doing a lot of like baseline exploratory with them. And then the third option is if you have like an online training center or something like that. I have a lot of brokerages that will upload different kinds of, you know, tools, resources. A lot of the information I'm going to share with you today, they make that available in their training portal. This is probably my least favorite approach. But if you're going to go with this route, you really need to promote it aggressively. So for you guys that were saying, hey, you have less than 25% of your agents that participate, you tend to see a very low turnout in participation with something like this. You really have to promote it. Some of my brokers will do like incentive programs. So we'll create like different kinds of rewards and things like that for participation in these annual planning programs. And then you also really, really need to do some personal follow-up to make sure that people are following through with these annual planning exercises. So, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's just that you really have to have activity that happens leading into that, and on the backside of it a little more aggressively than if you're doing group sessions or one-on-one. So those are the 3 different formats that I really like. And actually, I see a lot of chat coming in to me here. Thank you so much. Tell me if, for those of you that said that you do planning sessions, just give me a little note in the chat. Are you doing group planning? Are you doing one-on-one? Are you doing online portal training? Or are you doing something else? So just kind of go ahead and put that in the chat for me. I get all of this feedback at the end. And so it's really, really wonderful. Also, if you have any questions at all during the course of the webinar today, go ahead and put those in the chat or in the Q&A session. I'm monitoring both of them, so I will try to be as responsive as possible. And then I can also take some time at the end to address any of your questions. Okay. So I'm going to show you some examples today of some of my favorite annual planning tools. This is normally something that I say you have to be one of my paying customers to get access to this. But I'm like, you know what? These are tough times, and we need to do this stuff together, guys. We're all in it together. And so I'm going to take you through some of the things that I really feel provide a foundation that really prompt, you know, really excellent discovery with your agents and really lead to some open-ended questions for you. And like I mentioned early on, all of these resources are going to be made available to you. I'm going to share a link with you, and then you're also going to get an email with them tomorrow. So don't take screenshots. Don't worry about it. Just pay attention and join in the conversation with me. But these are all tools that I use every year with my recruitment and retention clients. They can all be customized, right, to support, your brokerage. I also work with my clients to run campaigns around them because we really want to drive agent adoption and engagement with these programs. And so just literally sending out a single email and saying, here's some resources for you. That's where we tend to see like not the kind of engagement that we want. And so, I really work with my brokers, like, how can we make this really successful? How can we really encourage and incentivize the agents to participate? Because it not only helps them, but it's going to help you as a brokerage as well. And it's going to ultimately, help them service their customers better too. So the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to do a screen share here. You're going to see my whole desktop, I guess, because it's acting a little wonky on me. But this is just an example of a business planning workbook. And this is a really good self discovery exercise to share with your agents. So if how I said, if you're doing those one-on-one planning meetings, you want your agents to be prepared ahead of time to come into that meeting, right? So this workbook is a really excellent example of what you can provide your agents ahead of time. They spend, it takes 30 minutes, maybe an hour tops to kind of work through these questions, work through their thoughts around it. And what's going to happen is they're going to start to pinpoint, some questions or concerns that they have about where they're going in the coming year. And so when they come into that meeting with you, they're going to be a little more prepared, to sit down and have really intelligent discussions. I love having agents go through like a SWOT analysis, prior, right? Because they're spending that time thinking, and you can be a lot more productive. So this is just an example. I hope everybody can see it. Just a pretty cover sheet here. Now, once again, like I said, these can be customized. So this was actually an example. I had a client who really wanted, to have their agents look for opportunities for growth, right? And what does those opportunities look like for you? Are you looking for more time, or, a stronger work-life balance? Are you looking to, reconnect and help? Are you looking for, so they wanted to have this really nice, warm, kind of fuzzy conversation. So this was some initial information that this particular client had started with. You can kind of tee things up however you want to. And then I love open-ended questions. And if you were in my webinar this last month with Pat McFarland, we talked about the power of open-ended questions, right? Because if you pose certain questions to your agents, there's a bunch of different paths that they can go down to answer. And what I love about that is because depending on the path that they take, it's going to tell you a lot about what matters to them, what their values are, what their concerns are, what constitutes success and failure to them, right? It's different for every single person. And so here we talk about SMART goals. And I'm sure you guys have heard about SMART goals before, right? You want to help your agents set specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. And I'm going to send out a little more information to you this next week, actually, in an article I wrote. I kind of break down SMART goals in terms of annual planning exercises, and you guys are all going to get an email about that from me. But you'll notice the questions that you're seeing on my screen, they're just very open-ended. And it's really something for an agent to sit down and go through this self-discovery, the self-examination process. And then once they go from there, now they're going to go into a little bit more SWOT analysis style, where they're outlining what their goals are, they're revisiting goals, and they're also determining why those goals matter. Because it's interesting, a lot of people will have, a lot of different goals. And then when they start to drill down, well, why is this important to me? Why do I need to achieve this goal? They can start to question that, they can start to prioritize, and some things can get crossed off the list or reframed. And so this is just a really, really simple example of a self-exploratory exercise that you can have all of your agents go through. Very, very simple. But when they come in and they bring that in and they sit down with you, it really opens you up to some really meaningful conversations. Now, that needs to be paired with some other things that we're going to take a look at here. Once again, everybody's going to receive a copy of this. Use this as a foundation for yourself, but think about, what are the kinds of conversations that you want to have with your agents? What are you trying to reinforce in terms of, personal and professional planning? You can easily customize any of this. Okay, so now we're going to have some fun and we're going to dig into financial spreadsheets. Yay, says everybody. Everybody loves financial spreadsheets. This is a big spreadsheet, guys. Let me see if I can expand it a little bit. There we go. Okay. So I think as, brokers and business professionals, I think it's important to remember that many agents struggle with financial planning, both on a personal and professional level. And unlike people, in other industries, real estate agents don't have guaranteed monthly income, which is why this industry, right? We always say it's feast or famine. And I'm a big fan. There's this quote by Benjamin Franklin: if you fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. I'm sure you guys have heard that. But this is how you're going to help your agents prepare. Okay. And I'm going to share these. You'll notice I've got 3 tabs here inside of this document. I'm going to take you through each one right now. We're going to talk about it a little bit. And then I'm going to make this available to you. And once again, these are fully customizable for you. So you can just go to town and have fun with them. This first one is an income and expense tracking sheet. All right. Pretty simple. I built this. It's in a Google spreadsheet. And I'm going to make it available as a download to you guys. I've already put in formulas for you. Okay. And I'm going to show you how those formulas work. Now, this is an exercise, once again, that you can have your agents, focus on before they meet with you. Or if you're doing a group planning session too, like make these available, a good week beforehand. Ask your agents to spend a little bit of time with them. I have some brokerages that will actually, release these to their agents and then actually show them how to go through and work through them. I find them pretty self-explanatory, but you can be the judge of how you want to do that. It's really simple. I like to see everything on a month by month. And, and we do annual tallying here, but month by month, right? Like we talked about feast or famine, there's going to be months where your agents might not have commissionable income that is coming in. And so when you really look at things on a monthly basis, and then you go into your production reports, which is another tab we're going to look at, you really start to understand, hey, this is where I tend to see, the most of my activity, and how do I plan for those sort of famine months, right? So pretty simple stuff. You have your agents fill in their commissionable income. If they have other income, you ask them to fill it in on a month by month, right? So just for example, anything I put in here, notice it tallies here on the month, and then it gives me an annual tally too, right? So I'm just filling in a few things. So everything auto calculates for them. So then they can actually get a really nice snapshot of what their annual income looks like and monthly. Excuse me while I take a sip of this tea so I don't cough on you. All right. Then we get into personal expenses. And all of these different tabs that we put in here, once again, serve as a guideline. If you're looking through it and you want to add additional points, very, very easy to go ahead and add an additional, row in here, right? But you want them to go through and look at all of these different personal expenses. Once again, it will tally everything and give you annual tallies. And then business expenses. We've got a lot of things in here that, relate to business expenses. Once again, anything that they put in here will auto tally, and then it will automatically tally net income on a monthly basis for you, as well as looking at everything on an annual basis. All right. So this is a really great way to look at, hey, money in, money out, and then where is my money really going? And for you as a broker, this is really valuable for you because you can see, oh my God, look at how much money my agents are spending on lead gen or their marketing materials or whatever those cases are. And then that's going to help us get into these compare the numbers tab here in a minute. So it's all going to come together. All right. But pretty straightforward. Does anybody use something like this, a financial spreadsheet like this with your agents now? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. But you can see, I mean, this is just a really, really wonderful and simple way to get your agents looking at what's coming in, what's going out. Straightforward stuff. You guys are not giving me a lot of information. All right, I'm going to keep going then. I'm keeping going. All right, so financial spreadsheet. So the next tab that is also a really, really wonderful exercise is looking at your production, right? So if you're doing this exercise, thank you, Adrian. If you are doing this exercise this month with your agents, you're going to have them reflect back over 2023. All right. Once again, you want to do it on a month by month. How many actual listings did they sell? I don't care how many active listings you have. I'm looking for GCI. I want to know, like, what did you actually sell? Did you recognize revenue kind of idea, right? So listings sold, buyers and referrals, and then what that source of that referral is. All right. And so once again, this is going to auto tally everything for you. It's pretty simple stuff, right? So you might see something like this. Maybe this came in from a Zillow lead, whatever the case is, right? So you can kind of get the idea of how they fill this out. This is really interesting because then you really start to see where your business is coming from. All right, because as you reflect back, nothing like facts are the facts. And so if you have people that are, you know, spending $1,000 a month to buy leads off of something, but then the bulk of their business is coming from referral traffic, right? We need to reevaluate why they're spending that type of money on those leads, right? And so it's really just another wonderful way for agents to really look at, hey, this is where my actual business and revenue is coming from. And then I can compare and contrast back here at what I am spending on various aspects that lead to that business. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. All right. Excuse me. So wonderful, wonderful exercise. Have your agents do this ahead of time. Sit down and review this with them. You're going to see trends. You're going to see a lot of questions. It's going to spark a lot of conversation for you. It's going to be fantastic. And then the third piece of this is a compare the numbers. So what I really like with something like this is if your brokerage provides a lot of resources for your agents, right? You want to reinforce that with them. This is also wonderful if you're working with prospective agents, because you want to let them know, like, hey, these are all of the different tools and resources that we make available for you. But I like to, when in annual business planning, is actually tie legitimate dollar amounts to it and demonstrate for them. So this is just an example. This actually came from a client that I'm working with. And so I just kind of reframed it for you. But basically, this particular client, these are all of the different products and services that their brokerage offers to their agents. And then in their market, they actually looked at if the agents were going. Now, what I removed here is they actually referenced very specific vendors that they work with, right? I removed those. You can customize it with your own, right? But then they actually took and looked at if that agent went out and were to, you know, solicit those vendors directly, they were actually looking at around $23,000 a year in, you know, different products and services that they would be paying out of pocket for versus what that brokerage. So imagine this as a recruitment tool, guys. This is a very, very valuable recruitment tool. If you have a really nice suite of services that you offer, let them know and show them what that looks like financially for them. So then now you can go and look at, oh my God, you're spending all this money on all of these different things. What if we could go back now and zero out all of those, because we are actually now providing that for you? How is that going to impact what your expenses are, and how does that reflect on your net income line items? So you see how everything is starting to come together here, right? And I don't find this to be an overly like overwhelming exercise to go through with everybody, right? I mean, it's something that they should be doing every year anyway. You know, and they might have questions, they might need to look some different things up, but I usually, you know, with our brokerages, we'll say, hey, we're going to provide you these resources. We want you to take an initial stab at them. We want you to set aside an hour of your time one evening to sit down, work through all this information, and then you're going to come into this group session, or you're going to come into this one-on-one meeting, and we're going to take a look at everything. You're going to have formulated your questions, your concerns, and then we're going to work through this, and I'm going to help you understand where we can make appropriate cost cuts, where we can offset things, and how we can, you know, create more balance and put more income in your pocket versus, you know, putting out on your expenses. So let's just revisit all of these collateral pieces really quick again, guys. Okay. So this business planning workbook, this is great just to start having those open-ended questions to get your agents thinking about what matters to them, what their strengths and weaknesses are, right? And where they want to go in the coming year. This is also great if you are actively recruiting. Every single one of my recruitment brokerages that I work with, this is something that we release every single Q4. It is probably the most popular download of the year that we put out to prospective agents. It is unbelievable how many agents are actively looking for assistance with their annual planning. And this is wonderful because if you're using this as a recruiting tool, you can put this out, you know, everybody who has downloaded it, and then you can do personal outreach. You can schedule one-on-ones with them and literally have really, really meaningful and open-ended conversations with them. For your active agents, the same thing. You know, where is it that you want to go? What are the challenges that you have? Just a really, really basic way to start a conversation. And then to accompany that, this is really stuff that I, you know, use with active agents at a brokerage. So going in and running your income and expense tracking. And, you know, the first time you do this, it's a bit of a heavy lift because you're asking to go in and reflect over the course of a year. But if this is something that you bring into your practice every single year, your agents will start to work through these spreadsheets every single month, right? And so they're self-evaluating, they're seeing where they're spending money, they're seeing how those expenditures are converting into business for them. And so it's something that, you know, is a living and breathing document that these agents are working through all throughout the year. Very, very valuable. And hopefully they can, you know, translate this into all of their personal living choices and things too, not just the business side. And that's why we do commingle personal expenses in there too. The compare the numbers. This is wonderful when you are trying to retain your agents, when you're working through annual planning, to let them know the value that you as a brokerage are bringing to them and what you're doing for them. This is also an amazing recruiting tool. This is a really, really big one because a lot of agents, you know, they've got a million different vendors coming at them. They've got a million different expenses all over the place. And if you can demonstrate to them the value that your brokerage brings to them and how that offsets expenditures that they make throughout the year, it's very, very meaningful to them. So these are 4 of my absolute most favorite tools that I use. Once again, these are very customizable. So you can go in, you can play with it, you can brand these. The formulas are already put into place for you guys. They're very basic, right? Tally formulas. So if you add, you know, other rows and things like that, you know, it will kind of auto correct unless you really start messing with those formulas. But I think it's pretty, you know, fairly straightforward for everybody to go in and play with. And so what I'm going to do right now is we have this page here. I'm going to share the link with you, but when you fill out this form, it'll take you into a landing page and you can download that spreadsheet with all 3 tabs and the copy of the business planning workbook. So I am going to go into the chat right now and I'm going to post this link for everybody. So there it is. So you can go ahead and fill out that form, download all of that collateral, take a look at it, play with it. If you have questions, if you want some assistance on how to expand upon it or customize things for your brokerage, let me know. The business planning workbook is a PDF. So it's not something that you can go in and like edit the PDF, right? And I'm referring to, sorry guys, I'm referring to this. So it's just to serve as an example for you. You would have to create, something on your own. But if you are looking for any assistance with that, I mean, that's one of the things that our marketing division here at Wave Group does, so we can help you. The other thing though, that I really want to talk about, because, it's hard to get your agents to do this. I think it's really important. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen share right now. But I think it's really important that you help them understand the value of why they need to do these types of exercises, right? And so, like I said, just making these resources available to them doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to embrace it and go through this. So I think that you need to be strategic and thoughtful about how you position this to your agents, that you actively follow up and reinforce it. Some of my brokerages will do like incentive, will come up with, just fun. I mean, it doesn't have to be costly in any way, but just kind of neat and unique ways to incentivize the agents to participate. It can just be around like, hey, if you show up for this group planning session, everybody that shows up is, going to be put in a drawing for X, right? Something like that. Just different ways to like get people to engage with it. But there is a tremendous amount of value in this. And then, like I said, like what I like to do with my brokerages is I will carry this campaign all the way through the end of January. So we'll usually launch it October, November timeframe, carry it all the way into January. Like I said, if you haven't launched anything yet, don't worry. You still have time. You have the whole month of December. You have the whole month of January to position, the servant leadership in front of your agents, and then make a point to touch base with them. I love to see my brokerages do like a quarterly touch point where you're checking in with them. So, beginning of Q2, and then at the end of Q2, I like to really do like a mid-year check-in, right? So that's when you're scheduling some one-on-ones or some group sessions. Where do you stand in terms of the goals that you've created for the year? How are you doing on your financial spreadsheets? What is that looking like? Are you on track? If not, where are the problems and how can I help you be proactive and start solving for those while we still have half of the year left? Because what you don't want to do is wait until Q4 and then all of a sudden find out you've had agents that have been struggling all year. They're disgruntled, they're unhappy, and they're looking for other options outside of your brokerage. And so this is a really fantastic way for you to be very, very proactive. I highly, highly encourage that, guys. So I'm happy that I've shared these resources with you today. I really hope that you guys are going to, to utilize them. On the other hand, if you need some help executing on a campaign like this, what does the marketing messaging look like? What is the frequency? How do we promote these programs to our agents? How do we drive higher adoption with it? That's something that I can come in and help you with. And so you can either go ahead in the chat and say, hey, Bondalyn, I'd love to talk with you. There's also a poll question. Jason, you can go ahead and put that poll question up. And you can just say, hey, it's I think it's literally like, do you want to have a consultation with me? Yes or no. If you put yes, it'll tag me and I can reach out to you and schedule. And then I'm going to do one other thing, guys. I have an appointment calendar available for you for the balance of the year. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go ahead in the chat and I am going to put a link there. I just put that in. that is a link to my appointment calendar. Those are 30-minute blocks. Go ahead and schedule. I think I've got time available tomorrow, and then you will see my availability up through the balance of the year. I'm pretty aggressively available up through about December 17th. And then I'm going to start disappearing for the last couple of weeks of the year. I hope you're all doing that with me. But anyway, I'm happy to talk with you guys. I'm happy, to show you some living, breathing examples of some of the clients that I'm working with on all of this stuff. But very, very valuable. I'm kind of pretty much wrapped. Jason, did you put that poll question up? I didn't see it pop up, but that might be me.
Yes, I just finally got it. I had a issue with the full thing, but it just launched. So
all right, awesome. So does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we're going to be able to end about 15 minutes early today. I guess I rock and rolled through everything. Maybe I talked too fast, who knows? But if you have any questions or anything that you want to share, go ahead and stick it in the chat or in the Q&A, and I will address it for you. And Jason just let me know that we've got lots of people downloading those resources. So have some fun, play with them. You can't really break them. You might mess up the formulas, but hopefully you know how to work inside of Google Sheets. It's pretty easy. But if you do make a mess of things, you can always reach out to me and I can try to give you some assistance. But does anybody have any questions? All right, so here's what's going to happen, guys. Tomorrow, you're going to receive a follow-up email. I'll provide download links again, some of the key talking points. I'm also going to do a recap over the course of all of our recruitment conversations and resources, over the course of, I think we launched all this recruitment series in August of this year. And so we've had some really amazing conversations with some top recruiters. And then I will be back in mid-January with another special guest. We're going to pick up and start the recruitment series again. So this is the end of our conversations for the balance of the year, but I will be back in January. If there's certain topics, that you are struggling with inside of your brokerage around recruiting and retention that you would like to see us address in 2024, please go ahead. You've got my direct contact information. You can put it in the chat. You can email me. You can tell me it, if you're scheduling a one-on-one with me. But these sessions are all for you guys. And, it's kind of interesting. I think 2024 is going to be an interesting year. We're gonna start to see some changes in the impact of some of these antitrust lawsuits and different things that are going on. And so it's going to be an interesting ride, and the Wave Group is certainly here, to support you guys and really help you guys, accomplish your goals and help your agents accomplish your goals. Erin, I personally am in the West Coast time zone, so I'm based out of Los Angeles. But I think in my Google Calendar, I think it converts times to your time zone when you look at it, or it tells you what time zone it's in if you're trying to schedule with me. So, but yeah, and I don't give anybody the option to schedule like 6 a.m. Pacific time meetings with me. So yeah, Dan, I'm with you. Dan says he wants more out of 2024. Yeah, I think we have, it's gonna be an interesting ride, but I think it's gonna be a really good year. And I'm kind of excited. I'm personally kind of done with 2023. I'm really, gearing up and pretty excited about what's going to happen in 2024. So I appreciate all of you guys dialing in to these sessions. Let me know more of what you want to see in the next year. If you want to do some things around, maybe like your brokerage business planning, if you want us to have some conversations about the antitrust lawsuits and how that, could or could not impact your brokerages, your agents, all kinds of things. I mean, the sky is the limit in terms of topics you guys want to talk about. So let me know if you want to have some discussions around recruiting and retention and how I can work with you in the new year, or mergers and acquisitions or anything. Let me know. I'm here for you. The whole Wave team is here for you. Thank you all so much. I wish you all a wonderful, happy holiday season. I hope it's a prosperous new year, and I'm expecting to see you all back in my January webinar. I think it's scheduled the second week of January. So enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you guys back soon. All right. Take care, guys. Talk soon.